Okay, we're back, and I think we have audio now. I can see the, I can see the green bar, so I think you can hear me. Perfect. Okay, so you missed everything that I said. That was so funny. Um, First of all, I was saying hi from Italy. I'm not from Italy, but I can see a couple people in the chat who are, and that's pretty exciting. How is the weather out there? Because it is just starting to get cold here, and it is gross, and it's only going to get worse. I think we're preparing for our first snowfall tomorrow. Um, Sounds like it's going to be a doozy as well. And then what else? Taffy. I went to Taffy this weekend, and I regret not looking up what that acronym stands for because I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna get it wrong. Toronto Animation Film Festival International. I don't know what the I stands for at the end. And also Mabel, you missed out on all of Mabel's barking. So she was very excited to be back and to be here. Let me just double check this setting. I want to make sure. Yeah, I did lower this a little bit, so I'm not hurting anybody's eardrums. Here we go. And yeah, this week is gonna be fun. This week is kind of a big week for Kadence. Deformers. This is kind of a big step, so I'm pretty excited to go through this today. I was going to say I would like to try and have the whole thing done in the time frame. I was going to try challenge myself to the rush, but since we just ate half an hour, I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. That would be a real rush. So yes. I've got windows popping up here. Hide feature hints. Hide hints, yes, please. So there's a couple things I do want to bring up because we're getting into we're starting to like really deep dive into this character and this rig. So I was going to bring up the possibility of opening up a Discord channel, Discord server. So if you are following along at home and doing your own thing, doing your homework. And you want to have access to a Discord server, what that's going to do is it's going to open up the possibility for getting feedback a little bit faster. If sometimes like this weekend, I was very unavailable. And since I do spend some time chatting on LinkedIn and stuff, it would mean that on the weekends that I'm doing that kind of stuff, or if I am extra busy, and I can't get into these things and answer questions, it might be a real nice way for other people to interact. And if you're working on the projects together, you can kind of, work on them together. And you might be able to answer your questions before I can answer your questions. So that might be really cool. If that's something that is worthwhile, please send me a message. Let me know. Drop a chat somewhere. Drop a heck yes or a heck no. We won't use it, and yeah, we'll take it from there if there's any interest. But that would be really cool. I think that would be really cool. I think that'd be really beneficial. I'm starting to see like the numbers on the YouTube reruns are going up, so people are definitely watching. But if you have any questions or if you get stuck, it might be a really good place for people to go and commune there. What else? And then the other thing that I wanted to say is if you're following along on my Instagram channel, you're going to see that the BYOP has, I'm starting to introduce the mentors. And so the date is going to be announced very soon. So if you want to have your work looked at by some professionals, if you're trying to get into the animation industry, if you're trying to do this for yourself and just want feedback, that is the best place to do it. It's a portfolio review. And let's see, there's Thalia as our storyboard artist. I am the rigging artist. We've got Chris, whom I will sometimes call Chan because I'm used to calling him Chan. So we've got Chris for animation, and then we also got my good friend Courtney. They're all good friends, but Courtney is our 3D animator. So yes, follow along on Instagram if you're interested. And again, yeah, if you have any questions or comments or want to let me know if you've learned anything cool in these Twitch channels, please do. And Mabel, you okay? She's about to bark. She's holding it in. You're holding it in, puppy. Can I get to work? Are you gonna let me work? Okay. All right. So there it is. Right on cue. What do you need? I've given you so many treats. I feel like you're just gonna keep barking and demanding treats. I'm gonna put your coat on. Okay. Come here. Oh, now you don't want your coat, eh? Okay. Let's see if that works. Okay, so. There's a thing on my window and I can't see the whole thing. She had a head start on that lick mat. Yeah, she did, and she's eaten dinner, and she's still. She really just wants my attention. She's so used to having me all to herself that this whole going back to work thing is still hard for her. Okay. Okay. Ooh. Okay. Take your walrus. We're gonna start there. Since she's laying down. She gets up. We'll have to put it on her. Okay. So let's talk deformers. Okay, let's talk deformers, and I'm gonna switch over to gameplay. Oh my goodness, Mabel. This is intense. Okay, so in the same fashion, I'm just gonna start left to right. Mabel, I need you to not bar. Hey, come here. Up, up, up. Come here. Stay. Does this feel like a warm hug or embarrassment? Never tell. Okay. Oh. Come on. You gotta share. Okay. Deformers. Deformers and the eyes. Okay, so we're gonna start from the left to right, like normal. That's the way that I like to do everything in the rig. And then the static transformations. This is another reason why they're so cool. We're gonna add our deformers to our drawings in our one eye, and then we're gonna copy the group over again, and then the other eye is gonna have its deformers. So whenever you make a change to the one eye, you always want to use the dominant eye, and the dominant one would be the one. I guess another way to say dominated would be like grounded. So the eye that's not attached to the static transformation, because remember, if we take away our static transformation, our eye jumps back to its original spot. So that original spot is the dominant and grounded eye. So we want to start there. That's an important factor. If you put your deformers on the wrong eye, right here, you might run into some problems later on. And by might, I mean you will. All right, so here we go. For your deformers, you want to have the proper window up, not the window toolbar. So I'm just gonna go deformation. It's already open, so I gotta find it. It's right here. And then the other thing that you want to make sure is that you're using the right tool. Oops. Oops, hello. What's going on here? Why is it so big? Nothing's working for me today. Come on. Pop. Why isn't this sliding? Why is everything locked? This is the day that all the technology breaks. What the heck? Looks like I'm using stuck windows. Although I really need this one. This is strange. In my entire career has Harmony never worked like this before. Let me see if I can. Workspace. Go to regular. What's my CPU doing right now? It seems like it's chugging. Well, I just reopened Harmony, so I hope I don't have to reopen it. Looks like it's really having a hard time. My CPU's going a little bit crazy. Okay, we sit and wait. Does anyone have any questions? We got a quiet dog over here. We got a broken program. Oh, maybe it's my computer. Maybe it's my that would be the worst, actually. I shouldn't even joke. Mm-hmm. There it goes. Do I have more than one Harmony open? No. This is interesting. Is anybody okay? First of all, I'd like to know if anybody else has ever seen this problem. So first of all, I'll ask that question. Okay, I need to have this one a little bit bigger though, but I guess I'm not going to. All right, let's see if I can at least start working. Okay. All right, so when we're working with a bunch of features that you can't actually see, so in this case, right here is my winkle. In this case, there's actually a cutter. So when you're doing cutters, this problem, only a bug I commonly find is when it won't let you move around by holding space. Yeah, I've seen that bug. This is not that bug. This is different. My window is like frozen. But it's okay. It is what it is. When you're looking at a cutter, so in this case it's the winkle, but it also is a similar kind of cutter than in the eyebrow. So what you can do, so that you can see the whole image, is when I'm doing deformers, what I actually like to do is I will add a composite and just throw it down, especially since we have so many. And I will bypass everything. And all this does is it's bringing up the image so that I can focus on it to do the deformer. When we're done, we'll disconnect it. That way we're not actually changing anything within the network. So like in here, the less we touch, the better, especially when you're kind of new to this. Once you've got it working, the less you touch, the better. So then you can kind of pull your connections on the top, and then that's what this composite does. It just kind of allows me to bypass all the engineering, and then I can flip between all the drawings, and I can get the proper shape. So you'll see in a second. I have to change my deformer tool, so this little hammer, and then I also want to change these so that they are set to envelope. I'm going to try one more time. I feel like I keep trying and I'm going to get a different outcome, but I'm not. Let's see if it has anything to do with this. Let me change this a little. Let's make it a little smaller. And I'll try one more time, and then if not, I'm crazy. Oh, look at that, it worked. Here we go. I don't know why it got stuck, but it did. But now it's unstuck. That's Harmony. I used to work for them. Okay, so we've got our envelope tool right here. And so now what we can do is we can focus on our drawings and our deformers. And I was going to try to rush through this program today and get all the deformers done in the head. I was thinking in 2 hours it'd be real close. I could almost do it. But it's not going to happen at this point, at this rate. So let's see. When you're setting your envelope deformers, your first point is your root deformer. So in that case, you're gonna have, whoop, I got this. Let me turn that off. In this case, you always want to kind of put that. I like to hide it, so you can either put it on the edge, but if you wanted to hide it, that would kind of mean something more like this. And then, since we're going around the object, you kind of want to have, like clear handles and even handles. Even handles are really important when you get into deformers. A lot of times you'll see things like this, and it's just kind of, I guess right now it's going to give me the easy even handles. If you hold down Alt, it will connect it. But and this is what I mean when I say you want even handles. This stage takes a little bit more time than you want it to, so this would be an example of uneven handles. Sometimes you can see handles and they stay the way that they are. So something like this. You can see that this one is super long, this one is super small, and then on this side, if we do a comparison, this is kind of like, this would be considered even. And by even, there's in between the space, so there's the handle, there's the space between the handle, and then there's the other handle. You want that to be equal. You want it to be in thirds. That's considered even. Here on the other side, you can see that the one handle is like, the top handle is much bigger than the small handle, and then the space in between is somewhere in the middle. So you don't want to have that. You kind of want to keep all of your handles equal, even. So something more like this. And the reason why that's important is because it actually affects the way that the animation looks. And when you're new to deformers, I also recommend that you test out your deformers before you move on. So in this case, you kind of want to see what they look like. We're working with pointed ends right here, so you can see that they might get a little clunky, and this will actually show in high render, high definition, believe it or not. So what you can do is actually pull them all the way to the end, and then that way the only thing that it affects at this point is your cutter. Your cutter is what is cutting the eye, so you'll actually lose a little bit of control there. So it depends. If you want to keep your handles a little bit closer to the inside, you can do that too. It's just that it kind of breaks that edge of the line. So keep that in mind. In this case, I'm going to leave it here. And then you can see that I'm also using my deformer for the handle. That is something, if you, I'm not going to go through it. I think I'm going to probably leave it, but we can actually force a connection here. And I believe our handle's on the overlay. So let me double check. If your handle's on the overlay, yep. So what I'll do is you can actually bypass your deformer by copying and pasting your drawing. This is where copying and pasting is permitted, and then your deformer should stop working, but I have two right now. Wait, why do I have two right now? I've got this one, and this one. Oh, it's because of this. That's why. All right, so now I've got a separate working deformer and a handle right here, which you can leave like that. I'm not going to work like that right now, but that's there. That's there if you need it. It's a little Easter egg. I don't mind that the handle is moving with the deformer. I mean, I guess I'm not really animating it too much, but I kind of like that it's closer. So maybe if there's any preferences here, let me know. Let me know in the chat. Let me know on the YouTube comments. Let me know. You can send me a message on my LinkedIn. I am curious. Do you want your deformers to move or not? Sorry if this slows things down, but could you go over the deformer tools? Maybe on the next. Yeah, I can. I can do a little bit more. So the next one, we're going to move to the eyebrow. So I'm just going to do the same thing where I pull the eyebrow tool down. All right, so for the deformers, when you go to your deformer tool, this is the rigging tool, the hammer. The other hammer, one of my favorite tools in the program is the drawing hammer. So the rebuild tool, I think it's called. And then this is the rigging tool. We don't use a lot of these. I don't use a lot of these buttons, but the show selected deformers. I've set up a hotkey. We did that in the very first. Episode, I believe. Let me double check. Yeah, we did. So actually, if you hit M, if you've set up that hotkey, and if you haven't set up that hotkey, now's a good time to do that. So we'll go to shortcuts, and under deformers, where's deformer? Deformation, there it is. Show current deformers is M. So this is just a very standard common shortcut that we use, and it basically just shows and hides the deformers that we're using. Cancel. And then, there we go. We can turn it on and off when we have a deformer there available to us. And so that's these buttons right here. This one right here is really cool actually for animation. Let's see what it's called. Show the manipulator. Let's see. Maybe this is for a different tool. I think I'm getting my tools confused. I was thinking that this is one that you can grab two at once, but I don't think that is what it is. And then this one right here is just a reset current keyframe. So this one is just for when you're animating. You can select the button and then you can hit reset, and it basically just puts your deformer back to its original position. That's pretty much it for up here. The other buttons that we have in our rigging tools over here is that if you don't set it, it's going to automatically go to automatic mode, which in this case leaves it as a curve deformer or a bone deformer. Doesn't really default to bone, but that one, what that's going to do is it's not going to allow you to attach your envelope deformers. And when you're working with cartoons, you're using mostly envelope deformers. Even if you're just doing a simple line, like for instance in the head of the character here, that would be a 2-point deformer. But instead of using the curve deformer, we would just use the envelope tool. There are reasons for that, and it'll make more sense when I get to something with a 2-point deformer. All right, so we've got our rigging tool. I'm gonna set my envelope turned on. Actually, I guess I'll show you. I'll show you the curve. All right, so this is why we don't use the curve deformer. You can see here that there is a handle attached to the root. And again, the root is like the first click. It's going to be the first point that you put down. And that's because it lets you twist and turn the drawing that you're working on. And you want to avoid that. You want to avoid that because we use pegs. You don't want to have that information in there twice. If you accidentally animate the one and then the other, then you've got conflicting information and it's not going to read and the computer's going to have a hard time. And that's where you're going to have a lot of automatic manipulations that the computer's trying to figure out. So you want to avoid that. And I'm going to delete this deformer and I'm going to go back to the envelope mode. The other deformers we're not going to use too much. We've got the bone and articulation mode. We don't use this deformer too much. Sometimes I'll put it on feet depending on the instance. Sometimes I can use them for a feet and it's nice because it'll kind of bend instead of like the soft bends. It'll kind of give you a harder edge to something, like right here, like a little bit of a curve if this was a foot. And so what's nice about that is it'll also keep the line thickness, so you can kind of get a different kind of a bend, but they're not too common in the industry, so we don't use this too much. And then we also have got the game bones, which we're not making a game, but if you were making a game, you'd want to use that deformer, which works a little bit closer to the bone deformer. And then we got the last one, which is the freeform mode. And that one is really cool. That one allows you to animate textures and shapes, and you can kind of attach a deformer to something and you can stretch that point. I don't think there's anything to really do like Kadence doesn't have any textures, so it's not really a deformer we're going to be using too much of, but the envelope mode, you can do everything with this tool. The only thing that you have to remember is that you set it up when you go to use your deformer, so it's not automatically giving you that handle. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Everything else you kind of don't. I've never really used, to be honest. I'm sure that there's reasons for these, if there's like areas of influence, but I've never seen when I play with them. I've never seen a difference. I've never seen what they actually do. So I don't typically use these. If you turn this off here, this button right here, what is this button called? Automatically create group when creating a new deformation rig. So this button you want to keep on because it'll automatically group your deformers. If you turn it off, you'll have like loose deformer points, and there's a lot of information being stored there. So if you've got a lot of animation or deformer points, so you do want them to be grouped. And then showing all the zones of influence. Again, like I've never actually seen those tools change anything else, so I haven't used them. So yeah, I don't think you need to worry about those. All right, so okay, eyebrow. So again, I want to do my first click somewhere else. I'm gonna give him a point in the center. There is an automatic tool to set your deformers, which is not something that I use too much, and it's mainly because I want to have total control over where I'm putting my deformer points. So all this preparation and manipulation kind of counts towards something. But I will say that in the eyebrow, it's kind of sometimes more important to really worry about where your deformer points are. Sometimes if you're getting crunchy and you need that cutter space, you want to be really careful, or you want to go back in and add more drawing to your cutter so that it does fill the hole. And that's because you can kind of, when you're using your brow to cut the eye, you can kind of run into this issue where what do you call it? Your eyebrow it's like you'll have a gap in your cutter, and so you'll see like the a corner, and so that could be a problem. So you kind of want to pay attention to that. And let me show you. I'll see if I can recreate it because that'll make more sense. And I'm missing one eyebrow, cutting the other, so I'll have to make sure I do that. All right, and so this would be the case right here. So this might be something that somebody would want to fix. So it's kind of hard to see, but the cutter is not matched up with the deformer. And that might be a problem, but it also might not be a problem. Depends on how you're animating and how you're posing. But to do that, what I tend to do is I'll actually just go to the drawing where my cutter is, and I'll turn everything on so I can see it. But then with this view and my drawing turned on, I can tweak that drawing very quickly. And so I can actually just say, go all the way to the end. And now I won't have a gap. So just like that. So that might be something to do really quickly. And since I'm talking about this one, I will. Now we got no gaps. There we go. It's perfect. And I'm going to reset all of my cutter, or not my cutters, my deformer points. And now we can also start to animate our eyes, our eyebrows. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing since we've got all these cutters involved. All right, and I'm just going to put the root in the corner. Keep switching to my mouse. Okay. And yeah, deformers are they're so repetitive. I always save them to the end because it's kind of just like drawing. You just turn into a little hypnotic trance and do the work. Again, watch your handles. You want them to be pretty good, especially in the eyes. Okay, are you aiming to put deformers around the edges generally? If so, why did it go through the middle of the eyebrow? Actually, you know what? That's a good point, and I need to test that deformer. I do need to test that deformer. I wasn't putting a deformer, although I could, actually. The deformers, I always forget that the deformers got a little bit stronger and better. So I could actually do that a little bit differently. Let me go back and see what it looks like. I didn't test that one. To break these handles, it's the same as if you were doing drawings. You can just hit Alt, and that'll work. Okay. So I'm going to open these. Okay, and let's actually... Okay, so the reason why I went right through the middle was just because that's actually kind of how we usually animate something like that. So in this case, it's pretty flexible and it stays on model. So I was trying to come over here. I do have to fix that cutter though, so but we can do all these cute little things, and it's kind of keeping my deformer, or my my brow, like, I don't want to call it unibrow, but I guess it kind of is. I want to keep that shape, but if I wanted to actually go in and change this, so let me reset it. And when I'm testing deformers, if I want to try something else, what I could do is actually this. So I'll just pull the eyebrow deformer right out of its socket, and I can try it again. So we'll go back to here, and then I'll do the outside of it. The reason why we're going over the entire eye too for the cutter, like in this case, it's actually a really nice thing for the animators to have control over the cutter, so they don't have to go in and manipulate it manually, kind of like I did earlier. So that's why the cutter goes all the way, or the deformer goes all the way around the cutter. Okay, and then close enough. So I could do this. Oh, I wonder if this is going to close. This is not going to close. I put that in the wrong spot. Okay, so if you want to do this, I think that I have to start. Yes, okay, wait a second. I got to reposition this one. All right, let me try that one more time. Okay, so the first clip will go here. And then I think I can close it again. There we go. Okay, so this is pretty neat, ultra flexible. You can get a ton of flexibility in here. You do want to make sure that your corners are still taken care of. Sometimes they're going to get a little crunchy. It's not going to be as perfect if you're doing it in this method. If you want those corners to be absolutely perfect, that might be a completely different type of rigging, which I'm not necessarily going to be covering on this rig. And I'm trying to think if there's an area on the rig that would need that, but now we can play with the thickness and the thinness of the eyebrows, but what's important is we're not getting any of this crunch, which we are. So, and if I take a look at this kind of looks like he's wearing a hat. Let me hide that cutter. Yeah, so in this case, the deformer is not working too well with the ends. So that's probably why I went through the middle. Let's see if we can edit it a little bit to see if we can. Okay, so let's see. Switch back. And I think it might have made it a little bit better, but it's still it's not perfect. Okay, let's try one more. I'll try one more, just to see what the opposite kind of looks like. You go through the. Yeah, so now we're getting into like the end. It gets crunchy on the tip. So again, we're looking for maximum flexibility. If this character needed to have his eyebrows, or their eyebrows wider, then what I might do is just take the eyebrows and make it more like the eyelids, where I have a line on the bottom, and then a completely separate line on the top. And those would be two different drawings. And then the top or the bottom would have the cutter. You only need one cutter at that point. But then at that point, yeah, you'd have the two completely different drawings. And then I might do some engineering with some reveal tricks. But it gets really complicated to do that. So we're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there. Our original eyebrow worked pretty well, so we'll leave it. But popping the deformer groups in and out, just like that, you know, it's really easy to delete your work and then have to do it again. So you can, with the deformers, it's nice. You can just pop the group out, and you don't have to redo it if you want to test something. So always work with your deformers. Always double check to make sure that they're working, and then you don't really have to worry too much about that. All right, so for our pupils, we have to turn our deformer, or we have to turn the drawings on in this case. And also, what the deformers can't do with a circle is it doesn't really matter. So you want to put that root, it won't matter where you put that root in this case. You can't hide it, especially on a circle. Circles are kind of known for being perfect. So, and in this case, because you can kind of get in there, and the root will never act like a seesaw like the other ones. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. I like to just put it at the top or the bottom. That seems to be typically the best place for that. And then I'm going to turn this drawing off. And if you want to turn your deformer off with your drawing, you'll want to click on this button right here, create new deformer chains. This is optional. You don't have to. Sometimes there's two trains of thought here. You can hide your deformer while you're not on the drawing that is hidden. So there we go, the deformer is right with there. But what I've started to see in rigs is that because a lot of rigs are just turning and deforming into shape, there's not as many drawing swaps anymore. People are getting a lot smarter about how they're setting up their rigs in the primary stages, kind of what we're doing with Kadence with here. And so the deformers aren't necessarily being turned off. So that's something to kind of consider. Since it's the pupil, I will keep it this way. I'll turn it off, but it's not, or the pupil highlight. It's not always going to be there. So we'll keep the deformers out of the way. And same with the pupil. Actually, the pupil will stay, will remain the same. Actually, with this one, I might hide that root. Down at the bottom. Okay. And now I think we've got all the deformers set up in our eye. That is perfect. Okay, I'm going to do a quick save, and I'm going to duplicate this group, and then the deformers will be on the other eye. So cloning, drawings only. We also want to make sure that the eyebrows cutting both eyes, so I could do that real quick since I'm just catching that. Oops, back. All right, so or we do that with a mistake Monday. I can fix that then too. All right, we'll just keep with deformers today, or we'll see how far we get towards the end. I better leave myself a note. Okay. All right, and so now if I go to the peg that controls both eyes, I can turn on the deformers for both. There we go, they're all there. Looking good. Looking good. Although I will, I was just thinking, do I want to add the deformer for the other brow? Let's see, where's the brow? In the wrong brow. Okay, so turn the drawing off, select new deformer chain, then I can go back. And I want to do the other eye now, just check it. I don't think the deformer chains are not going to add, so if you change the one after the fact, we will need to, yeah, there we go. So we'll just add that, and now it's there, it's in both. So the cloning process will change the drawings, it will not change the, so I should have done that before, but we fixed it. Okay, so now we can move on to these little dimples, these little whiskers. And for something like this, what you can do, we used to connect these, but now we just unselect and then reselect. And now you have two deformer curves, or curved deformers on one drawing, which is kind of just handy. We used to actually use a whole, like we would connect that, it would be like a square, but it's not necessary anymore, which is really nice. Okay, and now I can do the other one. And so then you unselect, deselect, and then you can come back and add that. How much precision is necessary? Do you have to aim to trace very accurately? It depends on the project. I recommend yes. I recommend yes. Sometimes I'll zoom in and see exactly where the edge of my deformer is, and again, as long as you don't have any crunchy bits at the bottom, you can see this one's not quite center. Some people want it to be perfect. I want it to be done. I think I prioritize done over perfect. So you might want to ask your build supervisor when you're there, what um, their method is. But I like the A range where it's like above 85%, but you can spend a lot of time nudging deformers around. So, whoops. You can spend a lot of time nudging deformers around, so I don't necessarily uh, think that it's the best idea. So here we'll give this cutter the same treatment. Actually surprised I didn't use a cutter color here. Okay, now I know that the mouth will probably take me the rest of this if I do them all. So there is something going on here though. I do want to check this out. Don't know if you can see this, but it looks like there's a double line here. So I do want to make sure. Oh yeah, what's going on here? Oh, what is this? Why did this happen? Oh, I think that's from last week when we were playing with that tool, which I can't really get rid of. This is why I don't use that tool. This is why it's important. Ta-da! We got digital clutter. I should take a photo. This is digital clutter. This is why I don't tend to use the strokes tool. Let me grab a photo of this. All right, there we go. And ta-da! That's why. Okay, where do I have a line drawing here? I do. Let me cut this and delete all this. It would have taken me forever to find that. Okay. Okay, everything else looks good. I'm gonna go back to my deformer tool. There we go. I just happened to notice. I was like, it looks like there's a deformer on it then when there isn't any. Okay, so we'll start this off in the middle, or in the edge. When you have to put a root deformer somewhere that's in the obvious, if there's a possibility to break the handle, that's the best place for it. So in this case, in the corner where you have to kind of break the handle to have the two directions, it's perfect. Yeah, that's the tool that I couldn't remember how to say. It's the create color art from line art that caused it. Yes, that's exactly what happened. Yes, so that's why I don't do it. That's why I don't use strokes. That's why everything goes the long way when you get to a professional level. That stuff is seen in the camera eventually. Um, if not on the first round, it will be another time. All right, so in the mouth, we're gonna have a couple different drawings here. So we are gonna have to change the drawing groups. So here we've got on our second drawing, so we can select our drawing here, and we're gonna change the drawing transformation. So we're gonna be adding quite a few of these. So I'll show you what that means, what that looks like. All right. The other thing is you kind of want to make sure that your deformer points are accurate between the drawings. So they don't have to be perfect, but you just want to have some thought. So it was probably fine where it was. Let's see. So it's moved up. Did I just move that one over? There we go. So they're hardly moving there. Then let's bring this one, and we'll add a new deformer chain. So let's see if we can I don't like having too many. Let's see if we can do it this way. I don't want to have too many deformer points at the bottom of the mouth, because a lot of times you're just grabbing that bottom deformer point and you're just kind of expanding it. But let's see what it looks like. We might go back and undo and redo, and I'll show you what it looks like in the deformer. So here I'm breaking the handles for sure, but it's going to be all right. Actually, this one I kind of want to be maybe a little bit. There we go. Okay. All right, so there you can see. That's kind of why I wanted to keep, it just kind of makes sense to just have one. If I was going to have to add two on the sides, it turns into like a weird way for the animator to pull that bottom lip. So don't really necessarily want to go there. So I'm glad that worked. And so since we've added a couple drawings now, and I go back, all these deformers are attached to their drawings, which is good. And so what actually happens inside our deformer, if we go inside, you're actually going to see the transformation switch with all of the groups for the deformers themselves. So the first one, we've got all of our deformer points in here, all that information. The second one, which is just a little tiny grin. And then our last one that we just made. So that keeps it nice and organized, which is nice. And it kind of keeps it fresh with the, where'd it go? And we'll just keep going. We'll add more. Which button am I thinking? This one. A lot of times people get into the habit of actually naming their deformers. That's not something that I do, mainly because there isn't a lot of time on the floor. So it's not something that I've focused on, but I am seeing that more and more. So once again, I'm going to throw that out there to the crowds. If you are naming your deformers, let me know what that benefits. I'm super curious. I think that's mostly for scripting purposes, and probably for the animators to find like the proper deformer for the drawing that they're on, I would assume. In our case, everything is named by numbers, so drawing 1 and deformer 1 or transformation 1 is the same. If you are choosing to update the drawing names themselves. So right now, again, we're just using the basic labeling of the numbers. If you are choosing to go above and beyond and you want to label those things, when you're on a floor, when you're in the pipeline, when you're working on a show, and you're continuously adding drawings, it adds up very quickly. And a lot of times those naming codes can become confusing. So I find that animators tend to remember the numbers very well. So like hand 73 is a lot easier to remember than closed fist 23 or open front palm 17. So there's something to be considered there. To keep it simple, save time, I actually prefer to just leave things most of the time just generally numbers. And it's also because it can be a pain in the butt to have to go in and reorganize things at a later date, because a lot of times we're adding things to the builds. So you're adding a lot more time it takes to keep that thing organized. So it's a double-edged sword, I find. So that is one that I have generally tried to not do. Where am I? Let's see. Also want to make sure that I'm going back actually and double checking these middle points. Okay, let's double check these. Okay. Just trying to make sure I get this shape as much as possible. Yeah, you'll find that you have to kind of play with the deformers to try to get the best shape you can. Let's see. I haven't just realized I wasn't tracking the bottom lip. In this case, I'm going to put that root. I guess I could move it. I'm going to move it over. Okay. So I'm actually going to move this here. And the reason I'm going to do that is because it's, let's say we do want to break that circle. I'll animate it and show you what I mean. If we're going to break that circle, that's probably where it's going to be. And so even though we are just building, we're always thinking about what an animator is going to do. So I'll show you what I mean by this. Okay. So now we can get like a little shape, like a little duck flaps, and then we use that root to our benefit. Again, it won't seesaw like the other ones, so we can't just grab it and do this. It never will. So let me put it back. And same idea here. I think that's my last one. Yep. All right, so now there's deformers on all of the mouth shapes. And we'll do the inside of the mouth. Oh, I'm just going to bypass all of this. Okay, so actually there is a detail right here. Another reason why I like to draw with the transparency is because I can actually see where those lines are, but I know that there's an overlay here. So I don't know if you can see that in the camera. Yeah, you can. Perfect. So I'm actually going to put the end of a deformer there. And then when we turn on our cutters, you'll be able to see that a little bit better. Okay. And I'm going to turn the deformer off when the mouth is closed. All right, and other teeth. Okay. So for the tongue, you want to start your deformer chains on the first drawing since I already have two. So make sure that you go back to the first drawing and set up the deformer. All right, create. No, what am I doing? This one. And once again, you can kind of hide, or you can kind of use that root to your benefit. Or if you need to break the handle for the mouth, or actually, because the handles will also break, you don't necessarily need to. We can put it all the way to the bottom. This is how I rotate my deformers the long way. Oops. Other drawing. Okay. Okay. So now this is all done. And I'll show you that teeth thing. Delete. So this is why we did that. So now we can actually adjust that little piece right there. So we've got full teeth when the teeth are not overlapping. And then you can also play with that little shiny piece when it's there. Okay. Now we're gonna jump all the way over here. What we got? Right, we're getting into some bigger pieces now. This is excellent. Another trick that I like to do when I'm putting deformers on a character is I'll just pull the piece completely away from the rig, and then I'll add my deformers over here. So again, I know that this part of the rig has the underlays, those lines. So I have to go in and taper these lines, though they're not tapered. Can you see that? So there you go. I can see where I want to make sure that my deformer point, this is actually pretty important, and we'll be going over this often. You want to have your deformer points line up with the drawings. So just like that. Oh, and my leg is asleep. Ooh, okay. So this is where you're going to see that the deformers start to they're not perfect, but it's actually okay. This is going to work just fine. I could go back in and add more deformer points, but for the same reason for the mouth, it's just easier to grab like the chin. Although, one thing that I did not go over at the beginning of this, is if you are looking at the design of the character, of the rotation, and I guess the bow tie is hiding the chin, so we probably don't need to worry about it so much. But these are things that you would want to start to pay attention to. With the eyes and the eyebrow wasn't really a thing, but with the head and the hair, it's probably something we're gonna want to start watching now. So the way that when you're working with master controllers and you're working with 360 rigs, and again, this character, when it's done, it will do that, but that's not my goal. I still rig the same, no matter what it is that I'm doing. It's just if I'm doing a 360 rig, it's a lot more work. So, but the process is still similar. It's just there's a lot more detail involved. So, in this case, the head and the forehead and the hair will rotate pretty well. But you always want to make sure that you are just watching. If you're setting up your deformer for your front view, your quarter front view, you want your deformers to be similar. And in fact, we're going to be using their deformers to get into the other poses. So you want to kind of keep that in mind. And when we get to animating the second pose, we might have to go back and change a couple deformers, but that's part of the process. Like when you're testing things as you go, you'll find what works, what doesn't work. The more you do it, the more you'll know. And you can like trust your gut. But it's something that you always kind of want to pre-plan. You always want to think forward when you're rigging. So this is one of those things when you start to set your deformers. I think it'll be most important. I think it'll be pretty easy actually for the hair, and the face. They're not really complicated shapes, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, so let's keep going. Okay, and then I can just reset that peg. Oh, where'd it go? Reset. Okay. And then also, just so you can see, this is what it looks like when there's no groups on the inside of those boxes, the deformer boxes, the groups. So they're just a bunch of loose deformer chains, which actually just means that those deformer chains will look the way they do no matter what drawing you have. And sometimes that's a benefit. So I'm seeing a lot more people do that, which I actually kind of like because it gives animators a little bit more flexibility. But it also takes away their options to create more deformers. Okay, so let's see, where do I want to put this? I'll just put it in the middle. When in doubt, go for the central. I don't think he needs... I don't think they need a... Here we go. Yeah, we'll leave it there. Oh, maybe we do need to add a point in the center. It's kind of... This is what I was wondering. Okay, I think I'm okay with that. Okay, so 15 more minutes. I almost got through all the hair today. Actually, we did this pretty quick. So what I'll probably do is next Monday I will finish the deformers. I will finish the deformers and I will cut the rest of that eye. We'll figure that out. We'll figure out the rigging there. And then on Tuesday we'll move forward. Woohoo! Okay. Okay, question for this drawing, do you need to worry about where it meets the underlay points of the lower part of the head, or was that only the concern for the lower part? Oh, that's a good point. Did I not, I might not have noticed it on this one. Let's double check. I think subconsciously I did it and didn't point it out. Yeah, so I did do it here too. And that's so that when there's Z depth, your deformers will still be able to control all that overlapping line and stuff like that. So good question. Keeping me on point. All right. Okay, the hair will be... Oops. gonna give the monster a little treat because she's been so good. That's for you. That's for you. There you go. Mm-hmm. This one has hidden. I don't see him. No, they're there. Trying to show the tips a little better, but it's hard for me to even see it right now. I might regret not having a fifth point there, actually. I'm gonna move that root over. It's an awkward shape. Okay. Oh, and that shadow's a bit off. Or the peg. Feels like we need a Bob Ross voiceover. Yeah. Yeah. Happy little accidents. Happy little trees. Happy little carrots. I don't know if you saw the pictures from the taffy trip, but the carrots in the briefcase are a big hit. And in case you're wondering what happens with those carrots, oh, somehow this did not connect properly. I'm gonna have to redo that. The carrots do end up getting eaten. Because there's so many of them, I typically make a soup. I just make a soup. Eat them all at once. Wow, we are almost done. We are almost done. Which one is this one? And now we've got a barking dog. My clicks are not being super accurate right now, giving me a little bit of trouble. So, as much as deformers are probably really exciting to animate, to set up, they're pretty boring. But once you set them, you can kind of forget them, and then you can move on. So, and the last one. Here she comes. Yes, Miss Mabel? You want more? Can you give me 5 minutes? Just need 5 minutes. I regret waking the dragon from her slumber. Okay, we got this. We got one here, so let's put this here. I feel like I might regret not. Oh, I do. I do regret that one already. Okay, so let's push this forward. Mabel, you're fine. Can you hear her growling? She's almost so cute. Oh yeah, what was the briefcase and the carrots about? That, yeah, that's exactly what it is. And it works so well. And it's also a snack. Because I get hungry at those events. You're running around, you're talking to so many people. That a carrot is a really nice way to have a snack. A healthy snack. Especially when you're eating a bunch of other things all the time, like pizza. You might be used to that though. Now that you're in Italy, you might have to get used to that. But yeah, no, that's exactly it. The briefcase just draws people in, and they're just really curious as to why there's a whole bunch of carrots. Okay, Mabel, you are doing great. Doing great. I don't have anything for you. I don't have any other treats over here. That's it. Come here. Come. Come here. I just need a couple minutes. We're almost done. No. Okay. Come. That's it. No, you don't have any. You don't have anything. There's no treats. There's no treats. That's it. No barking. Shh. No. 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 Come on. You're so close. You're so close. You're so close. Come on. Oh, I regret giving you a treat now. Okay. Which one am I missing? Hey. Come here. Come here. You're doing so well. You're doing so well. Come on. Can you go lay down, please? Okay, can you go lay down? Okay. Ooh, come on, Mabel. Okay, well, I've got more time. I know, she really did. She really was. So, we're almost done deformers. We have... Come. None of this. What do we have left? We just have this stock left. Try not to stop petting her. We just have to put a deformers on here. If Mabel was being well, I would just finish that real quick. But since I said that we were going to fix the eye, I'll do that instead of doing this on Tuesday. That way on Tuesday, what we'll do is we will be able to start what's next. And what's next is going to be the body and the arms. So we're going to finish this character soon. Building the head is always probably the most work of the front view. There's still a lot of work to do. Don't get me wrong, but the majority of the detail is usually in the face. So now that that's done, it'll take a couple weeks to finish. But maybe it's just the next 4 weeks and then it's done. So let's aim for that. A week for the body, a week for the arms, a week for the lower body, and then a week for anything that I can't think of right now, because that happens. And yeah, that's awesome. That's great. We did get a little bit further than what I was anticipating, since we did have all those technical difficulties. So that's really cool. Oh, and she's running away. Now that I've said that I was going to put that off. And what else? Let's see what Kadence is looking like now. I'll just do a quick black line. So close. Wait, where do I have here? Let's get rid of this. Let's make sure this is not sticking around. Can add that again next week. And how come I'm missing a hair? Oh, it's just moved. That's why. That is why I add pegs last when I'm drawing, because I move them around and then I forget to put them back. So that's what that is. Yeah, we are making really good progress. And yeah, that means that for Christmas, the front view of Kate might be done. So let's just double check the dates there. But I think that would be a really nice Christmas gift, the front view being done. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. That's 3, 4. Worst case scenario, it takes 5 weeks, and that's the Christmas. That's the Christmas miracle. And what else? Yeah. So that's it for Kade today. I'll wrap this up. Thanks for sticking around. Deformers are, like I said, they're kind of like drawing. They're kind of meditative. So the more people that come and watch, you get more questions. They get a little bit more interactivity. So if you're watching this at home or another time, if you can pop in, feel free. We'd love to have you. And like always, let me know what you're working on if you have any questions. I love to, I'm nosy. I want to know what's going on out there. What are you working on while you're doing this? If you're working on Kadence, please send progress shots. I would love to see that. I've met a couple people now, or a couple people have messaged me saying that they're working on this, but I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for the progress reports, which would be so cool. And then again, the BYOP, keep an eye out. We're going to be having those courses so that you can hook yourself up with a mentor and get the feedback that is specific to what you're bringing us, so that we can tell you what you need, what our studio is looking for, that you need to work on. So keep an eye out for the BYOP dates. They're coming. And then also the Discord server. Yeah, do you want me to set one up? Would that be helpful? I think that could be really beneficial. It also helps put all the information in one spot for me. And yeah, we're growing real slow, but we're growing. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Literally just hit the end time and Mabel walks off. I know, she really does. She's so smart. And I hate it. 'Cause honestly, right when we started this Twitch streaming channel service, that was literally when she started to bark at me on the computer. So it's like she literally knows. She is a genius, trapped in a dog's body. But yeah. Oh, also, as a bonus, I will post. She did learn a new trick at the dog park, so I will post that on our Instagram. So yeah, follow along for that one because it's kind of a big deal. Yeah, old dog. I like to. I like that she learns new tricks. But yeah, have a good rest of your week, and I'll see you on Monday to finish all this up, wrap up any pieces of the head, and then on Tuesday we get to keep going. So yeah, all right, bye guys.